Well, hi there. Good morning, all. Few minor adjustments. Thank you. Oh, my. I need to turn the lights on. I never turned my light on. 1 second. Mercy. Uh, how is everyone this morning? Oh, let's see if we can get ourselves organized here. Tommy Denda posted a link. We need to repost it. Tommy, could you do that again, please? Because it doesn't show up once the stream starts. Everything before that is dropped. So we need that, if you don't mind, please. It's a wonderful article, actually a piece of research, please. So not original research, more uh, um, library kind of researching research articles, if you will, talking about biodiversity, talking about the impact of what's referred to as benthic animals. There it is. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Anti-NWI has posted it. Um, Talking about the life in the benthic layer, life in the mud, if you will. What kinds of mud that is and what lives there. So before we go any further, let me back up a little bit and say some hellos here. Corinne was in early, as was Tommy Denda and Alexandra Kosniatsu. So welcome to you guys. I invited Tommy to come up today. He said he's too tired, but he also said he would love to do that, and I would too. So look forward at some point to Tommy and I being able to get together on a stream. He's a remarkable young man. I'm assuming he's a young man. I think I got that in my head somewhere. In Denmark, I believe, or Holland, don't remember. Um, a good researcher, and I'm anxious to find out more about that because he's come up with some really very interesting bits of research. Let's see. Oh, we were doing welcomes. Marky 0306, one fishy dude. Xanadu, hello. Yeah, Xanadu, the link, Alexander just posted it, I think. The anti-NWO fish. D3V, hello. Hannah Robinson. Jason C. Chevy Fish, hi Chevy. Well, we'll be happy to have you here as long as you can be here. 3G, good morning 3G. Derek Thompson, Marty 80. Glassbox Fox, hi there. Tisha, hello Tisha. Tisha, I never got a letter from you. Tisha said she sent me something, and I never received it. I don't know if you got the right address right. I know the mail service is worse than the Pony Express. I sent a shipment of plants to Chicago. Now that's 1,000 miles away. It took 19 days by U.S. Postal Service to arrive. 19 days. And do you know every plant made it? There was one bulb that hasn't started popping out yet, but it doesn't seem to be rotten. So if it were fish, they wouldn't have, however. I also shipped to the same person a box of driftwood about a month ago, and that has never arrived. So I don't, so far, there have been those kinds of incidents, but I really haven't lost anything yet. Marty 80, Hannah Robinson, Emily. Hi, Emily. Emily and Hannah. Delightful to have you two ladies here. Walrus is here. Hello, hello. Rohan. Rohan saying, Tommy, my outdoor tub is under a shrub and leaves keep falling in it. The fish are rarely fed and growing big. Yes, indeed. Rohan, I noticed some froth on the surface, so it needs some maintenance. Danios are fat and healthy. Well, I want to get into this a little bit more. The riders of Rohan, Jason says. Absolutely. Let's see. We've got 37 watching and 17 thumbs up. So we need students. We need, when you enter the classroom, you need to click on the thumbs up or the thumbs down. You can do either. If you don't want to be here, click on the thumbs down, and you can then either leave or lurk or whatever it is you have a desire to do. But in any case, please notify us that you are here, so that we'll know you are here. Silliness. Thank you all so much. Jumping right up there. Guppy Grass, morning. Still thinking about Father Fish cartoon. Dr. Evil Novak and the corporations. Oh dear. Oh, that's funny. Thinking about Father Fish cartoon. Dr. Evil Novak and the corporations versus Father Fish. I don't think Novak is evil. I think that's wrong. I think the corporations, or the corporate structures, the corporate interests are very much evil. I think in point of fact, they are predatory. And I think they act in predatory ways. They act to control, manipulate, dominate, and suppress the entire spectrum of the fish fam that lies at the benthic layer, if you will, of the aquarium that comprises the fish fam. There are monsters up there. There are monsters up there, children, and you must beware of the monsters. But I don't think Novak's a monster. I don't want to say what I think, but I don't think he's a monster. I don't think he's evil. I think he's in many ways in the same trap we're all in, trying to make something happen in a system that will not allow us to make anything happen. Now that's changed. It's changed as near as I can tell in the last 2 to 3 years. About 2 years ago, 3 years ago, suddenly there was a burst of activity here on the fish fam of people coming in with genuine interest in the hobby and a genuine desire to make a difference using this instrument, this platform, for the benefit of the hobby. Those interests are being suppressed across the board. And you can find the evidence yourself. Just look for it a little bit and you'll see it. It's very obvious and very, very clear. I know I have 8,000 subscribers. YouTube, I just did a video yesterday that's not been even 24 hours. I have normally in a 24-hour period, any of my videos, that's designated videos, not clips from a live stream, but actual videos, will receive between 2,500 and 5,000 views in the first 24 hours. This one has received about 250. It has been promoted less than 2,000 times. I have 8,000 subscribers. Less than 2,000 have received notification. The algorithm does not support the system that YouTube portrays itself to be. Never have 8,000 of my subscribers received. Now, many of them perhaps did not press the all button. In point of fact, I think 25% haven't. So that's two. That still leaves 6,000. Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. Anyway, get off of that. We're not here to talk about that. Jason C., another reason that viewership could be dropping is that people are returning to work. Yeah, it's not just this. Actually, an important fact, this stream is coming back to its previous level where it was when Joey left. We were at about 100 unique viewers. When she left, it dropped to about 50, and it's now back up to about 70. So it's coming back up to where it was. May or may not reach that level. I don't know. We'll see. Still, even so, that's a very, very infinitesimal number when you think about the size and impact of YouTube and of people interested in fish, for that matter. But we're in little tiny boxes here, and it's virtually impossible to break out of those little tiny boxes. I've had 2 incidents since I've been online in which the algorithm has obviously made a mistake and promoted a single video for about 2 weeks. My subscription rate and watch rate went up on a 90-degree angle. And for the following 2 weeks, it dropped just as precipitously. So while it was climbing, once it was discovered that it was doing that, it dropped it and went right back to where I was with a minor increase. It's very odd. Very odd. Anyway, don't want to do that. There are too many things that we can talk about that are frankly not worth talking about. And that's one of them. And another one is, what happened with Alex and Joey. Alex has posted a note on his channel to the effect that Joey has put a copyright claim on the video, and he's fighting that with YouTube. So if you're interested in going and read it, it's also posted on our Discord channel. You can look at it there. I'm not going to go into it this morning unless Alex himself comes up and wants to talk about it. Otherwise, we'll let that sleeping, that barking dog, we'll leave it chained up for now. Out of the way with that. Swimming through the detritus. Trying to get to what? Trying to get to Tommy Denda's article. Tommy Denda posted an article this morning talking about the importance of benthic level microfauna and microflora, but mostly microfauna. That is to say, the little animals that live in the substrate. And that's been an interest of mine. In point of fact, it's been rather central to what I've been promoting virtually ever since I've been on YouTube. because the animals that are living in your tank that you can't see are the ones that are keeping your fish alive. You're not keeping your fish alive. It's the natural system that's going on that's keeping your fish alive. Now, granted, there is a body of fish keepers, a body of believers, if you will, a body of fish keepers who sincerely believe that it is their efforts and their efforts alone that keep their fish alive. And to the extent that they are making efforts that keep the water changed and clean, that keep the animals adequately fed, that keep things pure and clean, to the extent that they're capable of doing that, then yes, what they're saying is true. They are, in fact, the ones keeping their fish alive. As we are all aware, however, there are two intrusions that enter this picture. The one is pathogens, disease, parasites, unforeseen circumstances like heaters blowing up, things that happen over which the one who is controlling the environment has either no awareness or no effective control until it happens. And then he or she is busy scurrying about trying to figure out what went wrong and how to fix it. Well, that's one option. That's the option that is frankly dominant in our hobby. That's the option that says, you got a problem? Come to me, buddy. Come over here and I'll sell you something that'll fix it. It's the snake oil salesman approach to maintaining fish. And yes, there are snake oil salesmen abounding here on YouTube, much less everywhere else. There is that. There also is a small but growing, I like the phrase, small but growing, and increasingly influential body of believers, practitioners, fish keepers, if you will, who are describing another way. And that's what I'm talking about. Another way. Another approach to keeping fish that is unique from the big box store approach, the retail outlet approach, the system that says you can buy anything to fix anything, the approach that says if you will create an environment in which a broad spectrum of life can occur and be supportive, it will form a chain. It will form a system that will perpetuate itself and incorporate into that chain, into that system, all of the organisms that are living in the tank, including your fish. So, in order to do that, you have to have a proper media, a proper medium, perhaps, a proper medium. You have to have a proper system set up in the tank that is able to house and maintain and provide adequate and appropriate living space for a wide variety, a wide range of animals. So how do you do that? Well, you do it by, if you don't know what you're doing, if you really haven't got much of a clue at all, but you want to make it happen, You do it by following Father Fish's formula. Father Fish's formula says you take 1 inch of mud, put it in the bottom of your empty tank, pour 2 inches of dry sand on top of that, fill your tank with water without spreading it up, plant it with plants, put whatever kind of decorations, hardscape we call it, in, driftwood, rocks, whatever, and put some fish in. And you do all that right away. You do it within 24 hours. By day 2, you should have a few fish in that tank. Not a lot, but a few. So, if you don't know what you're doing, you can do that, and it'll work. It'll develop, and it'll grow, and you'll gain a deeper understanding the further along you go, and you'll be able to do more to support it. So I'm going to go back here now and see if we can pick up. My God, it's 10 o'clock already. Whoosh. Well, 20 minutes of in here. All right. Let's see. Naresh is here. 3G, we said. Marty 80, Paul C, Jason C, Tisha. I'm repeating myself. The Anti-NWO, Whips World. Rohan Markey, Emily, One Fishy Dude, Teresa Lovelace. Oh, Walrus Rohan. Cubby Grass Galore. That's where I left off. We got sidetracked by Dr. Evil Novak comment. Oh dear. The paper on fungus and the food web, that was eye-opening, wasn't it? That was remarkable. And I had not really considered fungus in the tank. I was aware of it in land masses and in forests where there's lots of detritus and leaf mold and so forth, and the fungus growing in that, and mushrooms popping up from that fungus, the fruit of the fungus, if you will, but was not really aware of it occurring in the water until I started seriously considering it. And the little bit of opportunity I've had to go into heavy detritus pond areas and look for it, I found it. I found it growing on leaves, breaking down things. It's remarkable. It's there. And it needs to be a continuing part. So what part of what this is telling me is that the system that we've been working on, that's working so effectively, it needs to be enhanced. And that's part of what we want to always be doing, is finding ways to enhance, to support and nurture and help our tank or aquarium to increase in its diversity, its strength, its health, its vigor. And we do that by adding things to it. Now, the issue, of course, is what we add to it. Typically, what we add to it is food. That's typically what we do. We put food in the tank. Well, as it turns out, there's all kinds of food. And some food is less desirable than other food. We tend to think of feeding the fish. We tend not to think about feeding the microscopic animals, the minutiae, that are living in the substrate. We tend not to think about feeding them, but should we not be thinking about feeding them? Because they're the foundation of the system. They're the little critters that are breaking down things and providing nutrition to the plants and to the other microscopic life, to the other little animals that are providing food for the fish. So it's two things. It's two things that are naturally produced. The one is fish waste. And we don't need to duplicate that particularly. It is also plant waste. Now, when we think of plant waste in a tank, we think of leaves dying, falling to the bottom, creating mold. And we're all the time about the business of sucking out that mold, getting it out of there. There's a better way to do it. If you're getting mold, if you have a sand bed in your tank and you're getting mold, that means that sand bed is so full of two things, one of two possibilities. Either the sand bed is so full of mold that it can't hold anymore, it's not working its way down enough, which means you need to add more sand. Add another, here we go with the sand belt. Add another inch of sand. You can do it a quarter inch a day for 4 days or a week, every other day. But get another inch of sand in there. And you'll find that detritus will completely disappear. It won't be there anymore because it would have gone down into that sand. And it's moving through the sand. It's not just sitting there and staying there. It's moving through it into the deeper layers, being broken down and taken up as nutrition by the roots of the plants. So, plant material and fish waste. We add to that whatever fish food we're feeding. Now, the fish food that we're feeding is comprised of what? What's it made of? It's made of proteins and inert material and vegetable matter. It's made of algae or cornmeal or some other kind of grain, wheat meal perhaps. And it's comprised of protein, typically fish waste or shrimp or something like that. Typically it's offal from fish packing houses that are freeze-dried, kiln-dried, and then mixed in with food formulas. So dead fish and dead plants. That's what the food is. It's dead fish and dead plants. It's not fish waste so much, but it is dead fish. So what's this tell you? It tells you that when a fish dies in a tank, push it down into the sand. Unless it's a big one. If it's a little one, push it. If it's a big tank, a big fish, you don't want to do that. Unless it's in a really big tank. But anything under 2 inches, push it down in the sand. And use your common sense beyond that. Because it's going to break down and provide a wonder of nutrition for your system. But let's get back to the food a minute. The food is comprised of two things. 3 really. One is inert, like, I don't know what, calcium, sand, I don't know what, inert, non-organic material, let's say. It's mostly some kind of grain, typically cornmeal, fish waste, and then a bunch of chemicals. The chemicals, I don't know so much about. I think that's a throwaway, frankly. I don't know that it's beneficial one way or the other. But the fish waste is merely a matter of fish living and dying in the tank. The plant waste is a matter of plants living and dying in the tank. So you've already got in the tank the very components that are in the fish food that you're feeding. You're simply adding more of it in. There comes a point where continuously adding more and more food into the tank reaches essentially a breaking point. It reaches a point where the biological load in that tank is at a point where it's kind of maxed out in terms of the medium that's available, holding it, giving it roosting places or living places. In other words, here's a good example. if you have a gravel tank, an inch of gravel in your tank, and you're feeding every day. You know that every 30 days or so, you better clean that gravel out because it's going to get full of so much waste that it'll begin to overwhelm the tank. That's what I'm talking about. So, at a given point in time, you need to back off from feeding because the tank is taking over. It's providing enough activity, enough biological activity to be able to provide nutrition for all of its inhabitants. And that is literally true, including the fish. Now, again, we're not talking about 6-inch Oscars here. We're talking about 1-inch tetras, killifish, guppies, live bears, whatever, small fish. In a living environment where there are lots of plants growing, where there's a deep substrate, where there's been an attempt to enhance the biology of the system, and we'll be talking more about that. That system will reach a point in 3 to 6 months where it will be taking care of its inhabitants. It will have created a cycle of nutrition, if you will, that will be supporting all of the life that is part of that cycle. If you have fish in there, they're part of that cycle, and they benefit from their participation in it, as does everything else living in it. Everything living in there is giving something and taking something, and it's doing it in equal portions. It's taking essentially and giving back something else. The article that Tommy posted was particularly interesting because it described certain animals, microscopic life, small shrimp and the like, that are uniquely beneficial to that system, that break down leaves, for example. So leaves then, for in open systems, in creeks, rivers, streams, leaves are a vitally important component in the life of that system. They're broken down by shrimp, snails, crayfish, other critters that chew on them, break them down, turn them into smaller bits that smaller animals are then able to grab hold of, smaller shrimp, copepods, other littler animals that break it down so that even smaller animals can then take advantage of it. And so it goes, and they create waste that goes all the way down to the bacterial level, where it's broken down into components that make it possible for plants to take up those elements that have been created from the leaves breaking down, or the fish dying and breaking down. The plants take up that nutrition. It also creates CO2. It creates a vast amount of CO2. A benthic layer, a substrate, will create more CO2 than can be absorbed by an artificial system in the water column, which is why you don't need CO2 injection in a deep substrate, because it's already there, and it's there in a place and in a way and in a form that the plants are uniquely able to take up. Now, there are cases where that deep substrate is not able to provide adequate support to, for example, in a relatively new tank, very short-rooted plants. Plants like Cuba that have tiny roots. Plants like dwarf hairgrass that have tiny roots. They can't get down to the nutrition. In the case of those, injected CO2 can be very beneficial. If you want to experiment with it, there's a very simple way to do this. This is a rabbit trail worth going down. Stay with me, friends. Go next time you go shopping, buy a few small bottles, the little, what are they, 6-inch bottles? I don't have any here. The little soda bottles of soda water, plain soda water. Now, you can do tonic water if you want. That's kind of interesting and unique. But soda water is what you want. Little bottle of soda water. Okay? Bring it home. Pour half of that bottle, about 2 ounces, in a 40-gallon tank every 3 days. So one of those bottles is going to last essentially 1 week. Half for 3 days, the other half 3 days later. That will give you the benefit of CO2 in your system, an additional burst of CO2 in your system on a continuous basis. And observe it to see what happens with the plants. If you get substantial plant growth, then that means your system is not yet strong enough, rich enough to be providing the CO2 that the plants would like. Now, keep in mind also, however, it's a kind of fertilizer, if you will. It can create artificial growth. You can get plants that jump up, but then are dependent upon what you're putting in there to survive. So you stop doing it and they begin to languish. So what you don't want to do, and this is why I really don't recommend CO2, because it gives you a false sense of productivity that's really not supported by the tank itself. And since we're trying to create an environment that will support all of the life elements in it, it becomes counterintuitive and really counterproductive to do that. But if you want to play with it, that's the way to do it. All right, let's get back to the chat a little bit. We're a little after 10 o'clock. We got plenty of time. Let's see if we can figure out where we left off. Oh boy, I'm all the way back to about Mountain Fort. No, somebody was talking about salt at about 10:03. And let me see, get back to that. It's a lot of talk about salt here. All natural biomes will eventually collapse and blow out, Word Dunlap says. Word Dunlap, I think you're wrong about that. All natural biomes do not eventually collapse or blow out. That's not my experience. In nature, natural biomes change. They become something very different. A pond, for example, will become a marsh, but that's not collapsing or blowing out. That's developing. That's the direction it's moving in. And in a fish tank, I have tanks that are 20 years old. I have one here that's 20 years old. That is a natural biome. And it has never collapsed and never blown out. I don't think, in my experience, it's not true. Unless, as I said before, it's being continually fed, has a continual input of nutrition beyond its capacity to handle it. Then, yeah, it's going to blow out or collapse, because it's getting more than it can handle. But in and of itself, given the opportunity to be left alone and to survive and to develop and to grow, it will establish stasis, or a condition very near stasis, where it will remain essentially in place as a natural system for literally years. If at some point down the line you want to make changes to this, and that's always happening, then you can do it in a way that's not going to overwhelm it, but that will enhance it. And I'm probably not going to be able to get back around to Word Dunlap's response to that, but I will try to. Let's see. J.N. Burden, has anyone looked into safe nitrates or nitrates. I put a few Medaka in a tub, and my test strip shows highest in both, but the fish are breeding and fine. It's high in nitrates. If you're catching nitrites, it's because they're in process. But you obviously have a stable environment. High nitrates are not toxic until they reach absolutely exorbitant levels, 500 or above, even way beyond that, before it becomes toxic. It will slow things down. Fresh water is always preferable. Ward Dunlap, use your common sense. Meaning, here, hold my beer. You certainly are in a mood, Ward Dunlap. Being cantankerous, he is. All right, let's see. The Frugal Aquatics. Anyone else have advice on ick? Apart from turning up the heat, please. No. If you want to get rid of ick, you turn up the heat. If you want to get rid of ick, you turn up the heat. You turn up the heat if you want to get rid of ick. Ick is a cold water parasite. It will not tolerate warm water. It is not a natural parasite for tropical fish. Tropical fish don't get ick in nature because ick does not survive in tropical environments. Ick is a cold water parasite. If you want to get rid of ick, you raise the temperature. Now, you're in fact raising that temperature to a level that is normal for ornamental fish from the Amazon, for example, from tropical climates. Tropical climates, the temperature of the water is typically in the high 80s. It'll range lower, but typically it is already at a level where it cannot survive. That's why it's not there. Raising the temperature to 88 degrees does nothing to hurt the fish or, for that matter, plants. Unless, of course, they're cold water plants, but even then, plants will survive it. You can always bring it down in a day or two, but if you want to get rid of it, raise the temperature to 88 degrees. That is a normal temperature for the fish you're typically keeping. J-Dog. Hey, J-Dog. Nice to see you. Guppy grass galore. I've let the mulm build up in my 30-gallon. Good idea. It does provide a medium for all kinds of microscopic life. Again, if you want to add a little more sand to that, you'll find that mulm will sift down into it. But having a little mulm build up in the corner, or for that matter, the whole bottom of the tank covered in mulm, means you have a very rich body of organisms living in that mulm. Great for baby fish. If you have fish breeding in guppy grasses, Casey has guppies. Baby guppies love being down in there. They're finding plenty of food to eat. Harish Jalandra is talking about heat plus salt plus some garlic. Yeah, I recommended garlic. Garlic is good, not so much about the ick, but garlic is good to control bacteria. And one of the things that you face as a secondary infection with ick is bacteria, because the ick parasite has created a wound. And typically that heals pretty well. Put a little garlic in there in the water column is going to help that process. Let's see. Jan Burden Frugal, water changes to prevent the ick from reinfecting after it lays eggs. Yeah, water changes help. True. How much salt in a 15-gallon? You want to use salt sparingly and carefully. Use it in hospital tanks more generally and more commonly. And you rarely want to go over 1 tablespoon per 5 gallons. About 1/5 of a tablespoon or 1/2 a teaspoon per gallon is way more than enough salt for most tropical fish. It does not cure anything. Salt is not a curative. It slows down the metabolism of the fish so that they can have an easier time of it healing. By their organs slowing down, fish are pretty slow anyway, typically, but it slows them down enough that their body is then able to heal better and overcome infection better. Mike Kinseth, I like adding leaves to my aquarium. Mike, you just earned yourself a wrench. Absolutely right. And that's kind of what I've been getting to from the beginning here. It seems to me, based on this article that Tommy sent us, that the single most important thing we can do for our natural aquariums is to add properly dried leaves. We talk about catalpa leaves, other kind of maple leaves, other kind of fruit tree leaves. Oak leaves are wonderful, but they need to be dried. They need to be already rid of any of the what is it exactly? Any of the living matter that's in them need to be thoroughly dried out before you put them in the tank, so that they're at a stage then where the fungus can begin attacking them and breaking them down, because that fungus then creates a condition that larger things like shrimp and crabs and so forth are able to consume. So it's attacked first by the fungus, some bacteria. It's already been, a leaf that's laying on the ground has bacteria in it. That's what's happened. The bacteria has essentially absorbed all of that nutrients. It hasn't killed it because it's already been dead, but kept it from continuing to live, I guess. And then the fungus begins taking over once it's in the tank, breaks it down even further, and it becomes nutrition. It becomes part of that system. It's a much more natural approach. And if you have a bed of leaves and twigs taken out of a pond, for example, laying on the bottom of your tank, you have an ideal environment to be able to maintain a very stable, rich, balanced aquarium. Now, I haven't seen very many people do this. Point of fact, I haven't really seen anybody do this, myself included. No, not true. I did it. Remember, I had a 200-gallon blackwater tank. We did it in there. We did it with mulch. We mulched it heavily. Began to take some of it out because it was stirred up so much. It was too fine. In order to do this right, you need heavier material, larger bits of twigs, little tiny twigs, leaves, that sort of stuff. And you have to replenish it because it's going to break down. And when it does, you want to be able to cap it with more of the same so it's not being stirred up into the water column. So it takes a good bit more maintenance to be able to keep that going, but that's the trick. We simply need to be experimenting with it. Let me, by way of apology, I have been at a point for about a year now where I have not been able to walk very well. I stumble easily. My legs are, I have neuropathy in my feet and in the lower portions of my legs, and it prevents me from being able to get around very well. My muscles are weak, and I get tired very easily. I have trouble maintaining my balance. So I can't walk down a slope the way I used to be able to. And I can't even stand in muddy bottom water very well because I lose my balance. It is preventing me from being able to get out and do the kind of collecting I want to be doing. So that's why I haven't been doing it. I have a friend who I have depended on to be able to do some of that for me. He's been in prison. He hasn't been available. He'll be getting out this summer, and I'm looking forward to getting together with him, hoping he'll keep his ass clean and stay out of prison so we can have fun together and do the things he and I both love. So just putting that aside, we'll go on. Elaine Lucart. Elaine, frugal aquatic. Salt is good for live bears who are sick but don't know about egg layers. Try to Google it. Okay, we did salt. 1 handful per 5 gallon. It's a little heavy. A tablespoon is more than enough. That's about 2 or 3, maybe 4 tablespoons. Salt's not good for catfish. That's true. Kelly Lochgren. Hello. Word Dunlop says not all fish handle salt equally. Absolutely right. Plants may be impacted. Absolutely right. Use common sense and do some reading. There's his common sense. Now you want to use common sense. Wouldn't let me use common sense, but you will. Word Dunlop. He's got some reading about salt for ick. Yeah, I really don't recommend salt in the aquarium. It's not beneficial, typically. If you want to use it in a hospital tank where you're trying to help the fish out, that's one thing. But putting salt I do firmly feel that it's important to have hard alkaline water. So if that's salt, so be it. It's certainly high mineralization. So I'm not of the mind that that all fish require salt acid water. I think very few require it. There are some that do, but really very few. Let's see. Not using my exercise bike. You're right about that, Rohan. You're right about that. Aim Spiritfish. Hello, Bruiser. Hello, Why Not Wyoming? Hello. Let's see. Harish Jalandra, hello. Oh, here we go. Jan Burden, psychedelic hippocampus. You think they would burrow in Eco-Complete or Larva Rock? No, it's not fine enough. It's still gravel level substrate. You can use it as a dressing on top of stand, but you still need sand and you need dirt below it. It does not, the Eco-Complete and the other synthetic plant material is not fine enough to be able to substitute for either dirt or sand. You still need dirt, you still need sand. Let's see. Word Dunlop, suspected ick, monitored, fished up, ended up being nothing but a scar. Father is correct about the heat nick connection. I consider an adjustable heater a necessary part of my fish keeping. Absolutely right. Absolutely. The fixed heater is a good thing to put in the trash can because that's the only value it has is to fill a trash can or help fill it. There are other things you could throw in there too. But a fixed temperature heater is utterly worthless. Utterly. Because the temperature it fixes is not worth fixing. You need an adjustable heater and you need what is the formula for this? 10 watts per gallon. You need 10 watts per gallon. A 50 gallon, you're not going to buy a 500 gallon. So 10's a little high, 5 watts. Actually, it's 6. I was thinking 6 initially, and that's really closer to it. In a 5-gallon tank, 50 watts is about right. You can do 25, but what's the point? in a 10-gallon tank, 100 watts. I would do 100. I might do 50. 100 would not be too much. In a 20-gallon tank, 200. Yeah, 10. In a 50-gallon tank, you're not going to need, well, 50, 10, 5. Yeah, no, that's absurd. You can't even buy a 500. The max you need is 300. So at 300 and a 50, if you're running 200-gallon tanks, then and you can buy 300 to 400 watt heaters, then one or two of those are great. If you can't, 300 watt heaters, 2 or 3. You can use multiple heaters. When you do that, you want to set them slightly different, either slightly higher or slightly lower, a degree or two each, so they don't kick on all at once. And then always buy a heater that has a visible on light, a little diode that turns red when the heater is on, so you can tell if it's on. The other thing you want to do with the heater is, if you notice that the temperature is dropping, pull the heater out and carefully touch the glass. It may be that the element has corroded and that the heater is no longer working properly. So the trigger may be coming on, the thermostat may be coming on, but it's not sending power to the coil, and so nothing is happening. It's not heating up. If that's the case, hold on to it. One of these days, I'm going to get around to showing you how to fix a heater. It's really very simple if you're careful, and I'll show you how to carefully do it. Let's see. Jason is saying, I'm convinced at this point that Chevy Fish is a bot. You're not far wrong, Jason. You're not far wrong. Chevy Fish is one of my dearest friends, and I love her dearly. And she is an utterly and absolutely remarkable woman. One who does not want to be seen, does not want to be known, and to date has not been willing to show us any of her fish. And that may remain the case, although I goad her whenever I can. Nonetheless, she is a master fish keeper and has a mind that's very, very quick and is able to jump on all of these issues with she's calling me on the carpet all the time. And she's one person who I utterly respect for doing it, because I find she's right 100% of the time. Even when she's wrong, she's right. I mean, there are things I've called her on, but she's been right. She's been right. So, yeah, I'm with you, Jason. Psychedelic Hippocampus talking to J.N. Burden about things that have disappeared into the substrate. Tommy Denda. Father Fish, is the reaction of your fish not being fed an indicator of the biodiversity in your sand substrate, and would adding biodiversity be the solution to fish reacting negatively to no food? Complicated way of putting the question, and I'm not sure I really get the thesis. But what I have noticed is with tanks that are not being fed on a regular basis, the fish are acting in ways that are far more normal as in terms of the way I've seen fish acting in the wild. They're foraging, for example. They're playing with each other. They're interacting. They may be lurking. They're acting in ways that are natural and normal for them to be acting that way in nature. The fish can be trained to, if you're feeding on a daily basis, they're going to focus their entire lives around that feeding. And you're not going to get normal behavior. I really don't recommend daily feeding for fish. I think it's a mistake because I think it's not healthy for the fish, number one. And number two, it doesn't give them the motivation to forage for food. All right, I'm not going to go back and see what psychedelic was talking about. Getting old in for cysties. You're right about that, Ward Dunlap. Let's see. Oh. Does anyone know what the tiny brown bugs are called? I see them in duckweed and along the substrate. Tiny brown bugs. There are a lot of different kinds of tiny brown bugs. They could simply be rotifer or Daphne. Daphne would be, which would be brown? I don't know. Both could be, I guess. They're simply they're excellent food, by the way. There are a lot of fish that eat it, and that's what, if you see that in your tank, then you've got a really healthy tank. So you want to not feed your fish, make them go hunt for those guys. What's the role of diatomaceous earth? Paral is asking. I keep forgetting. I know what it is, but I keep forgetting it. Part of it is aeration because it's microscopic little skeletons of diatoms that are full of little tiny holes. It is not, as I originally thought, to provide calcium because it's a fossil. So it's comprised of fossil material, which is essentially rock, probably limestone or some form thereof. So it's dissolving to that extent and providing mineralization. Let's see. Frugal aquatics. I have 15 native minnows. Taught them to take play food. Now they just beg all the time, so I'm feeding less. Yeah, that's right. That's what happens. If your fish come up to your glass every time you walk in the room, you're overfeeding. Good rule of thumb. If every time you walk toward the tank, your fish come out to meet you, you're overfeeding. You're training them to come to you for food. You're not allowing them to find food on their own by foraging in your tank. So, number one, you need to have a tank where they can forage, where there's going to be something to forage for. And number two, you need to allow them to do that, and not try to, hey guys, come over here. I got something good for you. This is better than those bugs. Nonsense. What you have to give them is in no respect better than the bugs they can find in the tank. Anti-NWI, I've noticed a big change in behavior in the weeks since setting up a dirted tank. I've only been feeding 2 or 3 times a week. It is amazing, and you will notice it. Maple Street Aquatics. Oh, thank you. Good to see you, and I love you. I love what you guys are doing. You are absolutely on target. Says, I agree with you, Father Fish. I've never seen wild fish beg for food in nature. Bravo. But all our native fish are beggars now in captivity. Yeah, right. And with the bigger fish, you're stuck for it. There's really not much you can do about it because you can't provide the kind of food that they need in a natural biosphere. Unless you got something really big where you can be growing out little fish and other, I don't know what, copepods, shrimp, little fish like that. I have seen it in nature. I have seen fish beg. I've seen carp do it in overlook areas in lakes where people come and stand there and every day for years and years threw food in for the carp. They'll be there looking for it. Turtles will do that too. If there's a place where fish are being fed, another place you see it is in fish houses where they're cleaning fish and the offal is going overboard. You'll also see it in big ships that are producing, that are catching and producing fish. There will be vast schools of fish following the ship looking for the waste. So it happens in nature, but you'll certainly never see it in your local river or creek. They're not going to come to you when you walk up there. They're going to run away because you prevent the specter of some kind of something big and nasty that's going to get them. And the MWI, that makes the tank so much more interesting to watch fish without begging for food all the time. Thank you, Chevy. Good to have you with us. Love you, and I hope your appointment works out well. By the way, the Venice Aquarium Society is meeting this evening. We'll be meeting here in Venice. I'm going to try to do live stream with my phone. Where's my phone? Lord, I left my phone. I don't have it with me. It's in the bedroom. I took it in there in case I got a late night call, which I almost never do, so it's almost always here. So I need to go get it, but I guess I can wait at this point. I'm going to use my phone, and we're going to try to project the stream onto the wall and have the chat there. So we're going to try to project the chat. We don't need to project. Well, we can do that. If we have an option, we'll do that for those of you who are tuning in. I don't know what we're going to do. We'll try to do it and try to give you guys a chance to participate. It'll be a fool's errand, but we'll try. Ruby's Rescue. We use Dynamaceous Earth to scratch open the exoskeletons of scorpions. Here's what happens, and this is really interesting. The joints of insects are mechanical; they're not muscle. And the Dynamaceous Earth is tiny enough to get into that joint and to essentially tear it up, destroy it to the point where they can't use it anymore. That's the way it works on insects. Really interesting. Any place where their exoskeleton is movable, the Dynamaceous Earth will get in there and clog it up and scratch it and burn it up. It's very effective with insects. Mo M. I had several tanks set up with your method for almost a year, but I still do not have any mulm. I only feed once a week, a small amount of frozen. What can I do? Well, let me say two things to you, Mo M, because this is really significant. I don't have mulm in my tanks either. I'm looking around. I have one. I have one tank with mulm. The rest don't. And the reason is the tank is perfectly balanced. There is a deep enough sand segment of the substrate for the mulm to be working its way through at the rate it's being created. So at the rate at which the mulm, the waste, is being created, it's sifting down in and it's getting down into that dirt at the same rate. If it were shallower, it'd be piling up on top. So by having more sand, it's able to get down in there. I do not recommend that you remove sand. Here's what I recommend. I recommend that you do exactly what the thesis of this whole session today is all about. I recommend that you go out into a local body of water and collect little twigs, leaves, that sort of stuff. Don't get a lot, get a little, get a small amount of it. and bring it back and put it in your tank and watch and see what happens. If it looks like it's working out well, then you can bring some more in. But that would be my recommendation. I think, in point of fact, that your tank is at a point where it really can benefit from the addition of mulch. You bring it in from the outside. Don't try to create it by putting more food in. Create it by putting more mulch in, because you're going to be putting in there the kind of material that provides exactly what the system is looking for and what it's already getting. You can get a little bit of mud while you're at it and put that in as well, and then kind of put the leaves. It's a little tricky to do it because the mud's going to want to be in the water column. But if you can do it carefully, and then lay leaves and twigs over top of it, finer mulch as well. Try to get under the leaves and get some of that a little more mucky stuff. Try to do that. See if you can figure out a careful way to do that. And I think you will be richly rewarded. And one more thing, don't be afraid to do it. Don't be afraid that you're going to bring some parasite in. The article that Tommy posted earlier was really remarkable because it talked about how new critters, new microscopic life coming into an environment, a new species, for example, can displace an existing species. More often than not, it doesn't. There's not been a lot of research on this, however, and the article made that case over and over again that there is grossly inadequate research in this field. So we're literally on the cutting edge of what the scientific world understands, much less the hobbyist world understands about a balanced environment and about what really goes on in these substrate layers. But don't be afraid to do it. If you've got very valuable fish and you're apprehensive about your discus, don't do it. Do it in another tank. Do it with something that you are less apprehensive about. But by all means, do it. By all means, bring things in from the natural environment and put them in your tank without fear you're going to bring something dreadful in, because you won't. You absolutely won't. Your tank is already established with protections. It already has devices and animals in there to protect it from pathogens. So by all means, try it. Let's see. My Severum begs, and you're never going to have it not beg. I know. It's hard to figure out a way. One way you can do it is by feeding a vegetable matter. Zucchini, for example. I love my zucchini. I have right here a zucchini. This one is kind of old and rank. It's sort of dried out and corky. But boy, do the fish love it. Let's get some in here while we're on it. And it is a food that is grazed on. So it's a food that lays in the tank. It's a vegetable matter, so it's not going to foul the tank. It lays there, and the fish go over and graze on it. It's a more natural kind of thing. And if you chop it up in little pieces, spread it around, then you'll begin to get more of a natural kind of behavior with your fish. Rohan. Baits and genetics. How do you help stinky substrate? Water tests okay and water smells fine. But the substrate in two of my tanks when with use and smell when I stick a plant in it or something. Well, Bates and genetics. Suck it up, Buttercup. There's stuff you're now. I'll tell you one thing. If that's happening, he's pushing those plants down in there too far, and or he doesn't have a deep enough substrate, deep enough sand bed, which amounts to the same thing. So two things. Number one, if that's happening, if you're getting an eruption of elements when you plant a plant coming out of the substrate, then your sand cap is not deep enough. You need to increase, ta-da, add another inch of sand. Bates and genetics, add another inch of sand, and you won't have that problem. And then when you plant the plants, you don't plant them in the bottom. You plant them halfway down into the sand, 1 inch into the sand, and let the roots of the plants find the nutrition. You don't need to stick their nose in it. You don't need to find it for them. They're real good at finding it themselves. So long as it's there, they'll find it. So if that's happening, if you're getting an eruption of gases when you plant your plant, number one, your substrate, your sand cap is too shallow. And number two, you're putting your roots in too deep. And it may be both. And it may be just one or the other. But you should not be having that issue. Excuse me. I may go over and tell him that. Or Rohan, you do it. You do it, Rohan. You do it. Tell him you said so. Hey, Kenny, how are you? What's going on here? These guys are attacking. Look at this. They're attacking that that piece of plant material I just put in there. I think it's actually not zucchini. No, it is zucchini. We were thinking it was cucumber. My roommate bought it as cucumber. It's not cucumber. It's zucchini. And those are peacocks, African cichlids, and they're all about that piece of zucchini. Kenny E. Chevy Fish is still here. Cerulia. Hello, Cerulia. Ames. We're done. Where are we? Yeah, Misfit says Malm is great for fry. They eat a lot of it. They don't eat it, Misfit. They eat the animals living in it. They eat the little microscopic life that's feeding on it. My tanks have medium grade sand that the Malm builds up more than the fine sand. Yeah, interesting, isn't it? The finer the sand, the better the Malm sifts into it. Isn't that interesting? I think it's because they're more. They're. I don't know why. Hillstrom Loaches love zucchini. Everything loves zucchini. Hi, Isabella. Nice to have you here. Goldfish and Cory Tank only, JBVM. Yeah, Rohan saying it doesn't have Malm. His tiny power filter pulls it in. Probably. Yeah, Guppy Grass is saying Gulliot Farms lets mill build up, so I'm leaving it alone and nothing bad is happening. Oh, yeah, well, Walrus said shout out to the Discus Club growing inside the Fish Club. Yeah, we've got on Discord. If you haven't been on Discord, you need to get on Discord. It's a growing phenomenon, and there's more and more happening there. And a group of people have come in lately who are discus fanatics, and we're all salivating over the discus. Let's see, 10 minutes ago, question about alder cones. Leave it in or take it out of the water. Leave it in. Absolutely leave it in. It's fine. James Henning, malm equals broken down organics due to bacteria. Malm is visible excess. It's not necessary. It's just a byproduct. Absolutely. Frugal Aquatic said, I had some plants die off, and that helped the mold build up since I didn't remove them. Very good. It takes a strong heart and a great will to leave dead plants laying in a tank. Bravo! It all goes down, Maple Street says. Yep, it all goes down. Jan Burden, the same no mom. Well, I hope you do what I suggested. Get out there, Jan Burden, and those of you who don't have mold in your tank, if you've got a deep sand bed, if you don't, then put 2 inches of sand in your tank. Before you do another thing, if you don't have a deep sand bed, if you don't have a dirted substrate, do this at least. As an absolute minimum, put 2 inches of sand in your tank. Doesn't matter what kind of sand. If it's going to be dusty, rinse it first so it doesn't cloud up your water. If you can get full filter sand, dump it right in. 2 inches minimum. Put it in your tank. Then we can talk. Then you've got something to deal with. Until then, you're just spinning your wheels. John Sua. Hello, John Sua. Happy to see you. Ruby's Rescue. Jane. Hello, Jane. Where are the thumbs up? Hit the like button, says Ruby Rescue. Psychedelic says, hey, Rohan, Father Fish is going to say add more sand. You betcha. Villagers, Rohan, wash their utensils in the river so fish congregate to eat the waste food. Absolutely. Absolutely do. Misfit, hello, hello. Hope you're doing well as well. Trout big for canned corn. Ironic. Yeah, it is. Cheap food. Cheap, easy food. The fish are opportunistic feeders. Whatever is most available, most accessible, easiest to get is what they're gonna go after. They don't look. They're not smorgasbord. I mean, only to the extent that they'll take what's in front of them and load up on it, but they don't pick and choose. I should qualify that. A fish that's been eating worms and nothing but worms. If you put zucchini here and worms there, they're going to go to the worms because that's what they're used to. That's what they know, and that's what they'll do. If you take the worms out and put the zucchini in, they'll get to it. It may take them a little time, but they'll get to it. If they ignore it the first time, it's because they don't know what it is. Just leave it there and give them a chance. If it's something that's going to, like animal matter, it's going to deteriorate, take it out after 10, 15 minutes. Try another portion later or the next day. Keep putting it in front of them if it's something you want them to eat, and they will learn to take it. They have to be taught. All right. Okay, we got back to Rohan. Thumbs up. What's happening with the thumbs up? We got 65 watching and 62 thumbs up. We're doing pretty well, guys. Pretty well. Okay, getting down to the bottom here. Let's see. Rohan needs to clean it once a month. It gets clogged. Well, I would disconnect it for a week or so and see what happens. It's pulling a lot of nutrition out of your tank, Rohan. Put a sponge filter in instead. Something that's going to leave it in there. You probably have already got a sand cap. Leave it in there. You're pulling a lot of nutrition out. that may not be the most beneficial thing to do for your tank. The other thing you can do is let it run when it's got clogged. Once it gets clogged, just let it keep running, because it's going to create its own biofilter that the water pouring over is going to be removing ammonia and nitrates. And then once it gets to a certain place, it'll become more a kind of a natural part of the system. Let's see. Barb wants to know if there will be an auction tonight. Yes, there will. And we would love to see the Pracox rainbows. In fact, I know that Val is looking for some, so she will be thrilled. So yes, Barb, by all means. Talking about the Venice Club meeting tonight. We will have an auction. Mung Queen. Fatherfish, I've read a few articles disputing the usefulness of a deep substrate. They say that 8-inch substrate is not enough for anaerobic bacteria to form, and there's no reduction of nitrates. Well, so they say. And I say otherwise. And I've got 1,000 tanks out there demonstrating it. So whoever they are who's saying that, tell them to come on along. We'll have a little talk and we'll compare tanks and we'll see. If they've got 8 inches of gravel, I don't doubt it for a second. And 8-inch gravel substrate is worthless. And if that's what they're talking about, yeah, I agree, worthless. But I got plenty of tanks with 4-inch substrates with sand caps that have no nitrates 6 months, a year later. So you tell me. Yeah, Tommy Denda, JBV, if you have lots of biodiversity in your substrate, the cones will be breaking down and will be feeding small life and organisms. Yep. Okay. Well, there you go, Moam. Moam saying, Monk Quinn, have also seen others say this, but practical experience tells another story. I'll tell you something else that happens. There are a lot of these people who say it doesn't work are saboteurs. That is to say, they'll set up a tank and sabotage it going in by doing something like putting the dirt on top or putting gravel in instead of sand. They'll do something that will sabotage it and then say, oh, it doesn't work. Well, what doesn't work is their brain because they haven't paid attention and followed the directions. That's what doesn't work. Try it and see. I defy any of the people who say it doesn't work to genuine, authentically, and honestly try it. Honestly put 1 inch of mud and 2 inches of sand. Fill it with water without stirring it up. Do not disturb the sand bed. Do not. You can poke a plant halfway down in it, but that's it. Don't disturb the sand bed. I defy you to show me that it doesn't work, that it's not effective, and that it's not the best tank you've ever had 6 months down the road. I defy you. Do it. Eight inches of gravel is nothing, however. Our red light robot. Let's see, we need to wrench you guys. Red light, we're going to turn you blue. And Monk Queen, turn you blue. Welcome to you guys. Nice to have you with us. Be part of the show. Be a happy part of the show. Hello, Elaine. Jean Campbell says to Word Dunlop, I just asked my daughter why she was buying a rock when I have tons of beautiful ones in the flower bed. Good question. All right. Let's see. Water stops flowing out of it. Oh my God. Rohan, just do what you're doing. Just do what you're doing. You're doing fine. You're putting dead fish and cow dung in your substrate. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Oh Lord, good man. It's 11 o'clock. Let me see if I can get to the bottom real quick here. Last few days, my filter was disconnected and a Cory disappeared. Don't know about that. Yeah, there you go. Tommy is saying that probably facultative and aerobic bacteria um, are causing the problem. Let's see. Walrus. The 10 I set up 3 years ago with yard dirt and sand cannot be destabilized, even for an overstocked small tank. Tommy Denda, anaerobic bacteria. Smells fungi anaerobic seldom do. Absolutely. And why have I stopped here? Red light robot. The wet spot doesn't vacuum their sand in their planted tanks. Well, nor should they. Nor should anyone ever vacuum sand. That's a disastrous thing to do. You never vacuum sand. Never, never, never. Rohan, plenty of mulm in my outdoor tub, and my fish are really feeding on it. And Word Dunlop says I have beautiful fish yard rods. Tommy Denda, getting more and more sure there isn't that many anaerobic bacteria in a dirted tank compared to facultative and aerobic bacteria. But I'll need to look into this. Yeah, we need to find out more about that too, then, Tommy. I've been claiming it's anaerobic. It may not be. Um, but I base that on research showing that anaerobics begin in a sand bed at below 2 inches. That's really where the 2 inches came from. So some confirmation about that would be very helpful. Word Dunlop, please don't vacuum sand or wash toasted muffins. Amen to that. And I think we're at the bottom. We have hit bottom here, boys and girls. We're going to, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go back, if I can find it. We're going to go back and we're going to play our theme song again because it's so cool. And we all need to kind of get used to it. Am I going to the channel? Yeah, go to the channel. Go down to Music Hero. Let's just see what I'm doing while I'm doing it. So you can see my page, Balanced Aquarium. The Music of Father Fish. There it is. Click on the Music of Father Fish. And would you believe, you got to check this out. This is so, well, come on. There we go. Father Fish in the morning. Going, soulmates. There's so much really cool stuff there. Go over to this and play it. You'll love it. It's such great fun. A lot of Christmas songs. There's a song here from Aquarium Cop. Life song. And then some other stuff. There's a poem called I Love My Little Fishies. There's some memories. And then there's some really cool stuff that's kind of German Norwegian pop music that is Mein Pios Top Pop, which is great fun. You need to check that out. And here we are at Fish Family Forum. Put put on the sound.
Any of them. I can't get natural sunlight.
What is this?
In my fish rooms.
What is that? Why did that come up? There it is. There it is. All right. Thank you, guys. Love you all. Wonderful to be with you. It's been a great session. Bye for now. I'll see you tonight. We're going to try to broadcast the Venice Aquarium Society live. Live. It'll be great fun. Bye-bye, all. Love you all.